Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, it's Easter time. In fact, it's Good Friday, right now. And already, at only 10:30 in the morning, it's already been a very long Good Friday. But not as long as it was for Harold Shand, our fantastic part Simian, part Rottweiler, part Pitbull, Bob Hoskins as Harold Shand, the mobster who must fight back against the IRA and fail in the awesome movie made and completed in 1979, released in 1980, The Long Good Friday, by David Mackenzie and written by Barry Keefe. I've discussed it loads and loads and loads. I've reviewed it, I've referenced it, I've played this gorgeous, fantastic, pulsating, sizzling score for it by Francis Monkman many times. But part of my Good Friday ritual is to watch The Long Good Friday. I don't need an excuse to watch The Long Good Friday. I think it's one of the most perfect gangster thrillers ever made. It's just awesome. Helen Mirren as the gangster's mole Victoria, who's got to keep a lid on things to keep the mafia. Eddie Constantine as Charlie, who's come over to London Docklands to meet Harold Shand, who's an entrepreneur. He's trying to go legit. Go legit by going into big business with the mafia to rejuvenate London Docklands. This was 1979. Film was released in 1980. It was right on the cusp of Thatcherism and the advent of the yuppie phenomenon, which of course would bring prosperity, business, commerce and rejuvenation to London's Docklands. So the film was very prescient. I've discussed this before, but I just love the movie. The acting is sensational, the score is unbelievable. The violence, for a film that was actually made for TV, and then Lou Gray just went, hang on a minute, we can't put that on TV. So they wanted to cut the movie down to about 75 minutes, which made the film pretty much incoherent. And then of course, George Harrison at Handmade Films stepped in and went, no, we'll buy the rights to this and we'll release it cinematically the way it was meant to be seen, in all its full, gory violence, uncut glory. Fantastic film. And Pierce Brosnan in his debut as an IRA hitman. It's fantastic. I love it. So part of my ritual, as I say, is going to be watching that. And then obviously go in the pub as well. And it's a gloriously sunny day. Even at this early hour, it's absolutely blistering, so I've had to pull the curtains across. But anyway, so Easter means nothing to me. It genuinely means nothing to me. I love Christmas, I love any kind of holiday and bank holidays and just time to, any excuse for festivities and fun and frolics. I'm all for it. But Easter, chocolate eggs, Easter bunny, what? I don't get it. It even has a religious thing, which I'm not religious, of course, as you know, although I'm from both sides of my family, the Scottish side, the Irish side, very, very purely Catholic. And my brothers and my sister were brought up as Catholics, christened and had communions and all of that blabbage. I was christened, but then that was it. The book stopped. The good book stopped there. They went, no, don't bring him back ever again. No, the horns, a bit of a giveaway. Those cloven hooves, don't bring him back. But as I've always maintained, I am not religious, but I love the trappings of religion, especially Christianity and the Catholic Church. I love churches. I love the ritual and the rigmarole and all of that, the rhetoric. I love it all. I love the ambience and the history behind it all, and the lies and the deceits and all the clandestine things that the Vatican gets up to as well. I love it all. I love it all. But I learned something today which I've never realised before. Hence, I'm talking about the Long Good Friday because it is Good Friday. But, it's Tenebrae is there, and the film Tenebrae is behind me somewhere there, probably illuminated very badly by the ring light. Why have I got a ring light on when it's blazing sunshine? Why? Because if I open the curtains, it'll be complete bedazzlement. But if I don't turn the ring light on, then I'm just consumed with darkness. Which ties into why I didn't have communion. But I learnt something today which I never knew. And the film Tenebrae, 1981, Dario Argento, arguably his last great movie, although I do love opera as well. But really speaking, after Tenebrae, Creepers, aka Phenomena, and everything else, Nono Sano, I Can't Sleep, that's not so bad, or Sleepless, that's not so bad. But mostly his movies just began to stink ever more. But Tenebrae is awesome. Tony Franciosa as Peter Neal, an American author going to Rome to publicise his new book, which is called Tenebrae. Now, people start getting killed in various graphic manner, all around him. It's a who's who. It's a stalk and slash, typical Dario Argento giallo. But why am I playing Long Good Friday when I should be playing Tenebrae? I'll do that now. I'll move on to Tenebrae by Claudio Simonetti and Goblin, of course. Bear with me. Just here somewhere. Tenebrae. There we go. And it's a wonderful score. Powerful. And because it's 81 and you have the advent of post-punk and sort of neo-goths and new romantics were sweeping onto the scene. So the film, even now, viewing it now in 2023, Tenebrae still seems quite pumping and modern and sort of like, it's hyper real. It's not gothic in any sort of sensibility. I'm sure I've discussed the film as well. I'm not sure if I've actually fully reviewed Tenebrae. I have talked about it a lot though, because I do love the movie. Very nasty, and of course it incurred the wrath of the BBFC and was shunted onto the banned list as well. Axe killings and arm severings and mucho claret spilling everywhere. Plus some wild misogyny as well, and lesbian slicing and dicing. But I digress. The cover for Tenebrae always said Tenebrae, and then underneath it was like ... terror beyond belief. So I always thought, oh, Tenebrae must mean terror beyond belief. It's Italian for terror beyond belief. I spent many years believing that. It doesn't mean that at all. No, I've since learned. This isn't the shock revelation thing I was coming to. Tenebrae means darkness or shadows in Old Latin. So, okay, that makes perfect sense. But waking up this morning and our radio comes on and it's that's our alarm. We wake up to the dulcet tones of BBC Radio Merseyside. Don't ask me, ask Mrs. Kilt-Man, she loves it. So anyway, come on. And because it's Holy Week and it's Good Friday, they had someone on who was like discussing, what the various days mean in the Catholic masses and all this sort of stuff. And this girl, was a woman, female priest, said, and yeah, we're doing the festival of the ritual of Tenebrae. And I sat bolt upright and glanced over at the radio clock alarm thing. Did she just say Tenebrae? And Miss like, yes, I think she did. Why? And I said, that's one of my favourite giallo movies of all time. And Mrs. Kilt-Man just went to go back to sleep. And but what's the ritual of Tenebrae? Well, okay, there may be a lot of you out there that know what this is. I am a pagan heathen. I'm a warty beast from the swamps. I'm an infidel. I know nothing. And so I learned. I thought, well, I'm going to check this out. The ritual of Tenebrae. And apparently, Tenebrae is this thing that happens during Holy Week, and especially during what would have been Monday, Thursday, yesterday, Good Friday, today, and Holy Saturday, which will be tomorrow. And I think it stops tomorrow. And what it is, amidst a lot of, I suppose, psalms and prayers and things, you have candles on a triangular sort of candlestick, and one by one, these get extinguished, and the chamber, the church, the room that you're in, I don't know if it's the full church, goes into darkness, and then it's ended with like a loud noise. which has got a name which I've forgotten, and I forgot to write it down as well in my little notepad here. Damn it! But it's a Stripesky or something like that. Oh, I think I'm close with that one. And so it ends silence, darkness, and then a clamour, and it's meant to be recognising the passion of the Christ, of Jesus, dying, and then well, we know what happens next. Apparently, there's a resurrection or something like that. By the way, I mean no offence to anyone. I've talked about religion a lot and how much I admire people that have faith. I just don't have it. I just don't see that myself. I have plenty of other devotions and beliefs, but not in all of that. But I love the trappings of it, which is so bizarre, I suppose. So I like the fact that the new Russell Crowe movie, based on reality, The Pope's Exorcist, has come out today as well. I'll be seeing that, but not today, and I'll be reporting on it. So, be giving you a big review of that one. But yeah, so the festival, the ritual, it's called, of Tenebrae, of shadows and darkness. So this is what it is, and they extinguish all these candles, and the room will plunge into darkness, and then it's ended with this huge cacophonous sound. And I also learned something else. I don't know what the connection to the film Tenebrae is, because in the film, Peter Neal, Tony Franciosa, has written he's a crime novelist, and he's highly celebrated. His books are really big in Europe, and obviously in Italy especially. And it's funny how a lot of Italian giallos would have to bring an American character in. And again, as just discussed many times, it's to market films abroad. You bring in, we did it in this country with Hammer films, the Quatermass movies, Brian Donlevy and Dean Jagger in X the Unknown. They bring an American star in to secure American distribution. That's how it works, you see. I think things have massively changed, because now you have multinational casts. Most successful movies come out of America are puppeted purely by British actors anyway, But I digress. I don't know what the connection is, because he's written this book, and it's called Tenebrae, which again I thought meant terror beyond belief. And everyone gets sliced, diced, axed, amputated, maimed, disfigured, and it's gruesome as all hell. But the big twist, well, I'm not going to go into the big twist, because I think I may have already spoiled The Long Good Friday, so we won't spoil Tenebrae as well. But anyway, so I didn't know what the connection was, and even now I'm going to have to watch Tenebrae again, a film I know pretty well. But so where does Tenebrae, darkness, shadows, and this ritual come into it? I don't know if it does or not. There's talk of the ritualistic destruction of somebody else. When all obstacles, you encounter an obstacle, the only way of removing the obstacle is by the ultimate act of annihilation. So there's a ritual that takes place there, I suppose. And the very fact of committing murder is, very dark and very shadowy. So yeah, I don't know. But I learned something else as well. That triangular candlestick, there's probably a significant number of candles, probably, I don't know, would it be 12 depicting disciples? Would it be 13 if you're going to bring Christ in as well? I don't know how it works, and I should look into this, because I do find these things quite fascinating, and I love the fact that I've learned something completely new today, even at my lofty old age, my cobwebby old lineage right now. And so you've got these candles, you knock them all out. That candlestick is called a hearse. Now originally, way back, we're going back centuries and centuries now, the hearse was this thing. So you'd have a funeral procession, that would be held up in front of the funeral procession. And over the years, that has evolved now into becoming the vehicle itself that transports the coffin, the casket, to and from the church, and then to the final resting place. Well, I just thought the car was called a hearse. That's just what it was. I never thought that came from anything else. But I love that. I love how things, words and descriptions have changed, and then they take on a whole new meaning. It's called the Tenebrae hearse, which is that candlestick. So I presume that's still carried, I mean, I've been to a few funerals and in my time, even one just started this year, and also back end of last year, I should say. And I don't recall that thing being carried in front of it, so I don't know. I don't know how it happens, but I do like this. So that's a hearse. So there you go, folks. You've learned a couple of things today, or maybe not. A big Tenebrae candlestick's called a hearse, and that's where we get the name for our coffin-carrying conveyances. And Tenebrae itself is an old Latin or Catholic religious service to be held every morning to plunge the congregation into darkness, shadows, Tenebrae, and then wake them up again with a huge cacophonous noise. What's that about? That's a bit of a shocking revelation, isn't it? Is that meant to depict, the rolling back of the rock that covers the entrance to the cave, and then suddenly, ta-da! I'm back again for revenge. So, got some holy water here, holy fire water, that is. Cheers, you all. But yeah, The Long Good Friday is awesome. Do watch it. That finale, you still think after his final rant against the mafia, who chicken out, massively chicken out, the mafia, I shit him. He says yeah, well, don't worry about that. I'm going to business with the Germans. Yeah, the Krats, because they've got bottle, an imagination, that. Brilliant. And then of course he gets into the back of what he thinks is a chauffeur driven limo and it roars off, but it's not his driver, it's an IRA driver and an IRA hitman played by Pierce Brosnan. He was sitting in the front seat with his head ducked down, leaning around with a gun on our boy Harold, and as he gets whisked off to almost certain long and arduous torture and then execution, he sees Victoria, Helen Mirren, the ever lustrous, ever gorgeous Helen Mirren, being whisked off in another limousine, possibly to her death as well. We don't know that. But funny enough, and the camera will stay on Harold Shan's face. Let's go back to that music again, because this is when he's realised he's in the backseat of the car, and he's like, "What? Where are you going?" And he sees Victoria being driven past, and then he sees in the rearview mirror the reflection of the driver, and then he sees Pierce Brosnan with a gun on him, and he begins to realise, I thought I could take you guys down. It's funny how there is a Judas in that film as well, who betrays Harold Shan, played by Derek Thompson, plays Jeff, one of his most beloved associates, literally his right hand man. And in the Docklands, once he realises what's been going on, or not quite what's been going on, but he realises someone, especially Jeff, knows a damn sight more. He's been letting on, and has probably led to his deceptions have led to the deaths of many of his friends, and the almost blowing up of his own mother at a Good Friday service, which would have been the Tenebrae. It would have been the service of Tenebrae. See, it's connected. Even I didn't think of that. They've actually got the church, and Harold Shan's mother's in the church. Well, outside, the chauffeur gets into the car, and boom, the car is blown up. And his mother would have been in that car, but she's been saved by Tenebrae. Look, the connections. I love connections. And he confronts Jeff, and Jeff does say, "Well, yeah, sadly, I did send out some money with Colin, your best friend Colin, played by Paul Freeman Belloc from Raiders of the Lost Ark. It goes out to Belfast to give some money to the IRA, and but then because he's a very promiscuous gay man, and he goes to a bar, picks up a young fella, and unbeknownst to him, because he's pocketed some of the money, this money that was going to the IRA, because Harold Shan's organisation has a corrupt councillor, played by Brian, some or other, And but all his staff, all his work, he runs construction sites. So this plan with the mafia to build up London Docklands has to have this councillor in tow, get him on side, so we get all the permits and everything sorted out. He can smooth things over, but all his workies are all Irish, you know. So he's been paying money to the IRA, and like, Jeff's going like, well, the money was for the IRA. I didn't know Colin was going to pocket some of it, and in so doing as well, the three top-ranking IRA men get taken out by security forces. So the IRA, as Harold Chan says, well, it's obvious, isn't it? You know, they've put two and two together and come up with the answer, haven't they? You know, we took the money and they think we shopped them, so that they want revenge on me. You know. But it's all Jeff's been sorting this out. He did it behind Harold Chan's back. So he goes ballistic and calls him, "You fucking Judas!" So again, it comes down to Easter and it's all there. "You fucking Judas!" And he smashes a bottle of Bell's whiskey over Jeff's head, and then horribly stabs him in the throat. And you get, which is why, you know, Ewan Lloyd, was it Ewan Lloyd, an ITC said, cut this movie down. It won't show on TV. And luckily, it showed in the cinemas, and then got really great reviews and became a darling of TV throughout the later 80s. It was always shown, and a big seller on home video as well. And now an acknowledged classic. But you got poor Jeff spouting blood, arterial spraying, gouting, and Harold's like, yeah, he's done it out of rage, obviously, but he's also like, you know, he comes out of his yacht covered in blood, and they realise, look, you know, we've got to fight fire with fire, because he says to Jeff as well, like, you know, I don't know what revenge is. I'll take them all down. You know, the IRA, nothing to me. You know, this is my manor. And Jeff's like, you can't take them down. You killed 10, you killed 20. They'll come swarming back like ants. You know, they control you. You know, you can't win. But Harold Chan refuses to believe that, and will arrange a meeting with the IRA heads over there at a racetrack, a rally car racetrack. And it's a setup again. He's got the corrupt councillor there as well, and as they're counting the money out, like, and you think like, well, Harold Chan's bought us off now with 60 grand or something like that. It's not a lot of money back in the, well, not compared to nowadays, but back then it's a lot of money. And but Harold's men come in with shotguns, blow them all away. Fantastic. So he thinks he's got one up on the IRA. The film was going to be called initially The Paddy Factor, which is terrific, isn't it? And because you can't, you know, when that's in the equation, you've got no chance really. And so hence he gets whisked away to what will not be a pleasant or quick execution. But it's the way the camera lingers on his face as he works it all out, and the rage. Hang on, but I've just done. And he's just like, he's angry. He knows he can't get out of it, and it's just. And then resignation, and can't really call it acceptance, but resign to the fact, well, I'm going out. And he's not. When the Paul Freeman gets killed, because he gets out of Belfast, but comes back to a swimming pool in London, and he gets carved up by Pierce Brosnan. And like, they go and identify his body and all that. Like, well, don't worry, Harold. You know, I've arranged to get the body out of here before the police come round and all that. It's going out on a ice cream van, and Harold's like, oh, there's a lot of dignity in that. Going out like a raspberry ripple, you know. It's just, the lines are genius. The violence is brilliant, and you're on the side of bad guys. That's where the beauty of these gangster movies, the likes of Miller's Cross, the likes of The Godfather, the likes of Scarface and Carlito's Way. You know, that's why you side with them, because they're charismatic, and you get embroiled into their lifestyle and the way that they are. You begin to understand how they operate, why they've got to do certain things to certain people, because they've got to stay in business and they've got to keep power, you know. The Long Good Friday is essential viewing. It's funny that Barry Keefe was going to do a sequel to it as well. Thank God they didn't, because this would have ruined everything. As he quite rightly said, you can't do a sequel to Casablanca, can you? So, you can't do a sequel to Long Good Friday. But he had an idea that in that van, in that limousine at the end, they get stopped by police and Harold makes a getaway and he scarpers off to Jamaica and stays there for about 10 years or something, and then comes back to the East End to clean up the East End because the Jamaican yardies have took it over. Part of me thinks, well, wouldn't that have been great? How would he have done that? But you just want to see more of Harold Shand, and his empire. But because he is this silverback gorilla come pit bull, he is outstanding. The role was written for Bob Hoskins as well, specifically for him, after they viewed him in Zulu Dawn, a film which my dad supplied uniforms for, which I've discussed, and I love Zulu Dawn. And but yeah, I don't think a sequel to Long Good Friday, and it was meant to be called what was it, Black Easter Monday or something like that, something as daft as that. So you're going to keep it with the sort of Easter, sort of timeline. No, that was doomed, wasn't it? That was never going to work. But anyway, so folks, this was just basically, it's me getting up and thinking, I've just learned something. I learned what Tenebrae means for real, and it's actually a Catholic ritual. Well, who'd have thought that? So Dario Argento clearly only used that title because it means darkness and shadows, and it also sounds fucking amazing. In whatever is your native tongue, Tenebrae just sounds great, doesn't it? Tenebrae. And you also have, in the Three Mothers, you've got Mother Suspiriorum, you've got Mother Tenebratum, Tenebrae, and Mother... What's the other mother? Oh. Well, they say you learn something every day, but I think every time you learn something new, you have to jettison something to make room in your brain. If you've got to take something new information, you've got to get rid of some. And I've now forgotten who the third mother is. Mother Laboriorum. Oh, my Italian giallo credentials have just gone. They've just cascaded down. They've been snuffed out of that the Tenebrae hearse candlestick. Oh well, I'll live forever in the halls of Valhalla, because that's what I believe in, not the pearly gates. Who knows? Who cares? We'll all find out one day. Hopefully, when we all pass through to the next chapter, it's what we want it to be. We've served our time, we've proved ourselves, good or bad, we've lived this life, and then you get the next chapter. Right, now you pass on to... Right, how many points did you make throughout your life? Because there will be some kind of judgment, I suppose, some kind of scorekeeper there. Yeah, well, you butchered your liver, didn't you? And you abused your finances, and you filled your mansion with lots of tat and crap. You didn't take Mrs. Kilt-Man on anywhere near enough holidays. But you were a cheeky chappy, so we have a special dimension just for you. And there'll be something like Frank in Hellraiser, Hellbound Hellraiser 2, where I'll be forever tormented by, you know what. Only in my case, if we be bottles of whiskey, and I'll be like, I'll never get to them in time, never. Oh yeah, Long Good Friday, it's a bottle of Bell's that he smacks him with. Bell's is the worst whiskey ever. Now we're on a religious theme, it is the devil's arse water. It is grotesque. And it's weird that because Harold Shand's got a lot of money, so you'd think, and he's on a yacht in his own little, well, it's a dock. It's a very horrible looking dock at that. And the weather's not exactly like, Monte Carlo or anything like that. But it's and you think you'd have the best whiskies. He probably has, you know. And a lot of them are turned around the other way so you can't see what they are, but it's a bottle of bells that he smacks Jeff with. And it's probably all it's good for, smacking someone over the head, you know. In fact, I'd rather be smacked over the head with a bottle of bells than actually drink the contents of a bottle of bells. There you go. Folks, I have been always Shelby Kilt-Man. In the meantime, in this ever Easter bunny hunting safari in between time, please keep it kilted, keep it Celtic. And I'll be back to talk more nonsense very soon. Cheers, y'all. And I think there's going to be a watch party tomorrow morning. Well, I'll film it tomorrow morning. You won't get to see it till the evening, I suppose. And I know everyone keeps saying, oh, will you do the thing? Will you do the thing? I know, there's a few people that keep asking me to do this. I will do the thing, and I'll do it. I think I'll do it fairly soon as well. But as I've always said, the big movies, my favourite movies, they're the hardest ones to do because I have to steel myself and prepare myself to do them, because I want it to be right, you know. But this is like breakfast with the Shans, you know, mobsters, you know. They've got the mafia at the door. They've got the IRA coming in the back door, you know. But we've still got time for, you know, ham and eggs and a big fry up and all that, and a whiskey to follow it down, you know. It's hard to do your favourite movies like that, as I say. But I've done some biggies. I've done Jaws. I've done Commando. Done Cobra. I did them. I did The Thing from Another World. I'm sure there's some others as well, proper big ones. But The Thing, Escape from New York, Predator. They're really big, and like Rambo, you know, they're going to be hard to do, and the good, the bad, the ugly, that sort of thing. But I think we'll do one which we can all have a damn good laugh with and really get enthusiastic about. And I ain't saying what it is just yet, but I think some of you can probably guess, because I'm sure I've hinted at this quite a bit. Folks, let the rambling fucking finish. Now go and enjoy the rest of this long Good Friday. And hopefully you don't run foul of any knife-wielding, Tenebrae reading or watching or candlestick snuffing out ruthless killers. Tenebrae style. Laters!